ladies and gentlemen, he is a national referee, and he hails from Virginia. A big round of applause for Lee Macarone. Wait a second. I have to wake up. That is Lee Macarone. This is Al Matagrano. Give me a round of applause for my friend Al. Man, I'm not awake yet. I'm sorry. And then we have the jury table, which resides over here and overseeing the platform to make sure all the rules are followed. USA powerlifting rules are followed. Between them all, they probably got 50 years experience over at this jury table, both on the platform and at the jury table. All the way from Michigan, world record holder in the bench, my friend, Mr. Jack Marcus. He competed yesterday also, ladies and gentlemen. He's local. He hails from Ohio. A big round of applause for Mr. Joe Marksteiner. And ladies and gentlemen, last but certainly not least, she sang the national anthem yesterday. She's here today. A big round of applause from Minnesota, Rebecca Main. No more changes. Lifters in the first flight, no more changes to your openers. Referees, please report to your appropriate positions. We're going to start in about 2 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Gino Biancheri. He's going to be with us all day today. This afternoon, he'll be out on the main expo platform, all the way from Rockaway, New Jersey. The one and only, shall I say. A couple people clapped for you, Gino.
Yeah, there was 2.
Our first lifter is Christina Parachi, and she's going to be lifting 92.5 kilos. That's 204 pounds. She'll be followed by Amy Schmidt and David Bautsamzi. We have a mixture of equipped lifting and raw lifting this morning.
All right, we are
So
at the Pro-Am Bench at the Arnold Sports Festival, Day 2, Saturday morning. Thank you for joining us. On the platform now, they're just introducing the referees and the spotters and loaders. Hopefully we will get to lifting here in just about a minute or 2. All of the lifters this morning, again, are only bench pressing, so it should go fairly quickly. We'll have 2 flights of lifters. So we have Christina Parachi right now, 92.5 kilos.
What does she have?
Bar is loaded.
Is that coming from me?
So if you are new to bench pressing, if you're family and friends, none of this really makes sense. There are 3 commands in the bench press: start, press, and rack. And Christina is a raw lifter, which means she doesn't have any supportive extra shirts or any extra equipment. We will see some equipped lifters today. All right. Judges say good lift. Let's have the bar loaded at 97.5 kilos. Lifter will be Amy Schmidt. Lifting order will be Christina Parachi, who just lifted, then Amy Schmidt, David Butsomsi, and Adam Viramontes. All right, so bar is loaded. When the head referee or the announcer says bar is loaded, the lifters will have 1 minute to get the start command. We'll take a look at Amy here. So she'll unrack it and get the bar to arm's length. Heels will be flat on the floor. Glutes and shoulders and head are all in contact with the bench. All right, she's really getting set, getting a nice high arch. It does a couple things. It can decrease the vertical displacement of the bar and also just gets a few more muscle groups involved with a high arch like that. Pretty solid opener for Amy. She's also a raw lifter, 97.5 kilos. Bar will go to 185 kilos now for David. This is 408 pounds. Now this is a super heavy opener for David. This is actually matches his best bench in a competition ever that he hit at the Arnold in 2019 and 2020. So after a couple years away, he is back in opening now with his best competition bench press. So he'll make this, and anything over this will be a PR for him. It's not very often at this level of competition that someone opens with a previous competition PR. But a couple years of COVID training, he's really focused on his bench press. A little bit of a grind, but it looks like a good lift. We'll see what the referees say. All right, and a good lift. So he will have 2 more chances to better his competition best there. Next lifter will be Adam Viramontes. Adam is the American record holder in T1, T2, and he holds pretty much all of the California state records. Pretty young lifter here. And he is also opening with his best competition bench press 185. Adam is competing in the 90 kilo class. 408 pounds. Looks pretty solid. I think he is on his way for a new competition best. Next lifter will be Carlo Melendez. So Carlo is an equipped lifter. You'll see him have that blue shirt underneath. It's different than the t-shirt that the other athletes are wearing. What that does is it allows the bar to come off your chest a little bit easier, but about halfway up on a bench press, you'll feel where the shirt gives all of the weight back to the lifter's arms, the triceps. So you can pay attention to that as he's pressing it off his chest. It'll come up pretty snappy, and they may slow down a little bit. We'll see if that happens on the opener. You might see that more on second and third attempts. Squeezing the bench with his legs. Yeah, how it slows down just a little bit as the work transfers from the shirt back to his triceps. He'll have 2 more attempts at that. Now we'll get 207.5 for raw lifter now, Jonathan Myshak. And now Jonathan is a relative newcomer to USA Powerlifting. Shows that his first nationals was the Police and Fire Nationals just about a year ago. his best bench so far in a competition is 207.5. So quite a few of these lifters. So he missed this just 4 months ago at the Michigan State meet. So he is opening actually 10 kilos heavier than he's ever made in a meet. So really newcomers, you'll see them, their numbers go up fairly quick. And he looks good for a whole lot more today. So now we'll go to 217.5 for raw lifter Matthew Cronin. So his best bench in a competition is about 240. So this 217.5 should be pretty easy for Matthew. So if you're kind of newer, wondering how these bench press is different than what you might see at your regular gym, there is a press command. You'll notice all of these lifters are pausing on their chest. The bar must come down to your chest and come to a complete stop. So no bouncing, no kind of heaving. Heels must stay flat on the floor. Head must stay on the bench. And your glutes must also stay down. There are different federations where your heels and your head can come up. So not all powerlifting federations have quite the same rules, but I'd say USA Powerlifting is pretty much considered the most strict. So a lot of these lifters may have heavier non-competition benches in the gym. So Jeremy is an equipped lifter. This is 479 pounds. Again, struggling as the shirt gives way back to the lifter's pure strength. No lift there. Other rules for bench press, once the bar starts going up, it can't go back down. So if you're watching a lift and you say, well, that looked good to me, they locked it out, why did they get red lights on that? Could be a variety of things. Either their heels came up or their butt came up, or once the bar started pressing up, maybe it came back down and they repressed it up. So once it starts pressing up, it can't change directions. It can slow down, it can stop, but it can't go back down. And then when lifters miss a weight, they can choose to repeat it, or they can choose to go up anyway. Maybe they jumped a command, or didn't wait for the rack command, or maybe their shirt, if they're an equipped lifter, maybe their shirt just wasn't pulled up tight enough, or some other fluke. So they can choose to go up anyway, but you cannot go back down. So Christina, she actually got the start command before her glutes were down. She got it down, though, before she completed that lift. It looked like a good lift. Referees say so also. Now we'll go to 102.5 for Amy Schmidt. If you'd like to follow along with lifting order, maybe you're watching a lifter and you need to run and go do something. If you want to see the lifting order, you can go to liftingcast.com and click on the Pro-Am Bench Press. And if you, after you click on the competition, up in the upper left-hand corner, there will be 3 horizontal lines. You can click on that to bring down a menu. And you can click on the board view, B-O-A-R-D. That's the view that I'm watching here to see the lifting order. So it's liftingcast.com. And then use the drop-down menu for that board view. Order will be Amy, David, Carlo, Adam. So your thumb must be wrapped around the bar. And some of these lifters have a pretty wide grip. The widest you can go is to cover up those rings, 81 centimeters apart on the bar. As soon as Amy takes her hand off, you'll be able to see those rings on the bar. That is as wide as you can go with your grip. You can be as narrow as you want. Good lift for Amy. Let's go to David Butsomsi now for 190 kilos. This is Amy's first bench-only competition. get 190 kilos for David. Okay, so this will be a new competition PR for David. And it's only his second attempt. Excited to be back in the Arnold, in front of normal crowds again. And you'll notice those liftoffs, the spotter is giving a liftoff. You don't have to have someone help you with the bar, but a lot of the equipped lifters especially, it's a really weird angle for your shoulders, but they have those steps to turn it more into a deadlift. So if you're spotting someone who's benching maybe more than you can turn it into a deadlift for yourself. No lift there, but he has one more attempt at that 190. Well, 190 will stay on the bar for Carlo. Carlo missed this on his opener. 418 pounds. So Carlo has made 2.5 kilos more than this several times, but has struggled to get over that 192 barrier. But opening fairly heavy. Nice wide grip, as wide as he can go legally. So now it'll be interesting what the referees say. Well, if he can get that right arm locked out. Not quite. He has one more attempt at that. That was a better attempt. So now we will jump to 195, up just 5 kilos, about 11 pounds for Adam, American record holder. And this will be a new competition best for Adam. He did miss 20.5 kilos at Raw Nationals this past year. So looking to watch Adam make this and then jump to that American record attempt on his third attempt. 430 pounds. And that lift-off person standing up on those steps, so it really turns into a rack pull for these spotters and loaders. Getting his heels set. Then he'll get his glutes down before the head referee gives him the down command, or the start command. Right arm lagged a little bit, but it did continue to go up. It didn't reverse course, so judges say good lift. Jumped to 212.5, 468 pounds for Jonathan. So this is 5 kilos more than he missed just 4 months ago at the Michigan State meet. So Jonathan's bench has been cruising. And interesting, there it looks like he's now benching more than he has deadlifted. So he is definitely built to bench. You'll notice some of these lifters will have chalk on their shoulders as they get a really strong leg drive. What's different in competitive bench versus what you might see regular at a gym is a really strong leg drive in all of these lifters. And sometimes that can push you back on the bench. You don't want to go back, you want the bar to go up. So they'll chalk their shoulders a little bit. I don't know if he has chalked shoulders. Nope. But you can keep an eye out for that. Also, that in the A7, our spotters and loaders have that bar grip shirt. So instead of chalk, those shirts actually have little rubber on it to help you not to slide on the bench. So in case you were wondering what the heck that was on those shirts that the spotters and loaders are wearing, those are bar grip shirts. And Jeremy has that chalk on his back to help him not slide. All right, 217.5. Jeremy missed this on his opener. Really wants to make this. No one wants to go into a third lift having missed their first two. Bring it down to his chest, full stop, and blast it off his chest. That looks like a much better lift. We'll see what the referees say. Lift is good. So he is on the board now. Now it's just a play and have a little fun for that third attempt. Let's go 225 for Matthew Cronin. We have a mix of raw and equipped lifters in this flight. We have 2 flights of lifting today. So when you have a lot of lifters, we'll usually split the lifters into 2 groups. That way lifters aren't sitting, if you imagine going into the gym and having 15 minutes between heavy lifts, you get cold, you get bored. It's really hard to find your peak performance when you rest super long between your lifts. So we'll split these folks up into 2 flights, they're called. Nice arch for Matthew. Very fast descent on the bar. Looks good. We'll see what he goes to on his third. Now it's Christina Parachi. She is a really consistent lifter across her competition history. She doesn't have a whole lot of missed lifts. This is just 2.5 kilos under her best that she made at the 2020 Arnold. 215 pounds. And she's a raw lifter, so she does not have the benefit of having that shirt, and she's still benching 200 pounds. 215, actually. So some of these lifters have very different setups, all designed different ways to get your shoulders locked in. So when you do get your leg drive, it transfers all of the force up, those equal and opposite forces. In case you're ever wondering in science class, when am I ever going to use this in real life? These equal and opposite forces. So as she pushes down with her heels. Nope. Good job, spotters. Let's jump to 107.5 now for Amy Schmidt. Amy's made both of her first 2 lifts. And this will be a new competition PR for her. Her previous best was 102.5 in November 2020. 237 pounds even. And this is Amy's first bench-only event. It's not uncommon for lifters to tend to bench more. If you're only benching and you didn't have to squat beforehand, you're nice and fresh. Get a nice high arch. Trying to get her chest as close to the bar as she can. Really struggling to get locked in there. That side angle is quite an interesting view if you're new to competitive benching. People say, oh, that's cheating to get an arch like that. Well, most people aren't even able to do it. So if you don't have the ability to do it, it can't quite be cheating. Looks pretty strong. Nice PR for Amy. She's super happy about that. Let's go 190 for David. He missed this on his second. He opened with tying his PR that he's hit at the Arnold in 2019 and 2020. So hoping to get a personal best here. And you see there that he does not have a best squat and deadlift. He is a bench-only lifter. He's got one job to do. Let's get this 190. And on deck will be Carlo Melendez, followed by Adam Viramontes. Getting his feet really locked in there so they won't slide if he gets a nice strong leg drive. Not quite there today. So he still has 185 from his opener. Let's get 190. Carlo will need this bench to stay in the competition. Now Carlo is looking for redemption here today. He had bombed out at Nationals last summer. So he's looking to make a lift to break his streak here. His shoulders nice and locked in. Getting his heels as close to directly under him as possible. Squeezing the bench with his knees. Looked like a better attempt. We'll see what the referees say. They said good lift. So he slowed down on the way up, but the referees didn't think that the bar changed direction. So he had redemption there on that third lift. Now we'll jump to Adam, American record holder. So he has already set a PR here. Looking 2:02.5. Now he missed 200.5 just a few months ago, past summer at Raw Nationals. And this is even more than that. More of a flat back bencher. You see that every once in a while. Still trying to get a little bit of an arch. Bar's a little crooked, which is allowable, but does put more weight into one arm than the other. So no lift there, but he still has one PR for the day. So he has to be pretty happy with his performance. Let's go our final three lifters in Flight A, then we will roll directly into Flight B. There's no break between A and B. We'll have Jonathan, Matthew, and Jeremy. So when you're doing a bench-only meet, you are allowed to change your third attempt bench press after you give it, once you tell the scoring table what you want. You are allowed to change it a couple times. Very quick press command. Looks like he is perfect on the day. Has to be happy about that. Oh, he beat the press command. So I did think that that was quite a quick press command. Turns out that he beat that lift, so that means he pressed it off his chest before he got the press command. Though he can still count it for his personal records in the gym, so his next competition to try to beat that. But his 212 was still a PR, so I'm sure he's happy with his performance today. Let's go 227.5 now from Matthew Cronin. All right, so Matthew is going to pass on his third attempt. Probably his second attempt took everything he had out of him, so he's going to live to fight another day. But just to allow your competitors that predictable time that they will let the clock run on him, they'll let the whole minute go. And then once he times out, once the clock runs to 0, they'll load the bar for 230 kilos for Jeremy Fisher's final attempt. Now, Jeremy Fisher, after Matthew times out here, the next lifter will be Jeremy Fisher. He finally made 227.5 after missing it for 4 years. So those of us who haven't gotten a PR for a while get struggled, just get a little frustrated. Maybe you are used to, when you're a new lifter, every time you go into the gym to bench, you can bench more, and then your PRs come from, well, instead of once a month, maybe it's every 6 months. And then as you get better, maybe it's once a year. Well, Jeremy went 4 years without increasing his bench in a competition, and finally got 227.5 just this past fall, and now he's jumping to 230 kilos. So he is looking to improve even on that hard one, 227.5. 507. Next lifter will be Rosalind Such. Oh, his head came up, so even if he does make, well, good job, spotters. So on those equipped bench, if you get out of position at all, you're just dead in the water. So good job, spotters, for that. All right, now we will roll directly into Flight B. We only have 5 lifters in this flight, so it'll go very, very quick. And I believe we will have a minute of extra time built in at the end of this, at the end of each round, just so the lifters have at least 5 minutes in between their attempts, especially if you're an equipped lifter, to be able to get your wrist straps off. Maybe, I guess even raw lifters like to get their wrist straps off for a couple minutes before they have to wrap back up again. Lifting order will be Rosalind Such, Scott Hansen, Jeff Cohen. Now, Rosalind, she's a type 1 diabetic, and she's in Pennsylvania, but her and a group of her friends have created bolus and barbells to break the stigma of type 1 diabetes and to show that you can be active and healthy even with it. So cute little bolus and barbells there from Pennsylvania. Rosalind Such. Good opener. We'll jump to Scott Hansen now. Scott has been bench only since 2019 from Nebraska. And he is opening pretty close to his best. He benched 137.5 back in 2020. So this opener should be pretty solid for him. Gino, our powerlifting pirate announcer. He'll notice start command to pull it to his chest. Again, struggling as you transfer from the benefit of the shirt back to your own tricep strength. Good lift, though. Now we'll jump to 20 kilos for Jeff Cohen. Now this is about 15 kilos under his best bench, so it should be pretty solid. Jeff does tend to do his best benches, though, in 3 lift meets where he squats, benches, and deadlifts, which is interesting. Some lifters, if you haven't squatted beforehand, you're still fresh for bench. But if you're used to the pattern of a competition and your adrenaline and the warm-up that the squat can give you, sometimes it's counterintuitive to think that you would bench less in a bench-only meet than you would if you had squatted beforehand. Looked like a pretty easy opener for Jeff at 336 pounds. Lifting order, we'll have Robert Greer and Brandon Stouffer. Then we will go back to the top of the order with Rosalind. So Robert, in contrast to the previous lifter, he's only ever competed in bench. He's never done a full meet for USA Powerlifting. At 435 pounds. And he's lifting raw today. Again, that raw just means no supportive suit. Looks like he is a law enforcement officer. A pretty solid opener. A little uneven on the lockout, but again, that is allowed. And one side of, lifter referees said no lift. Oh, his head came up. So when you see that, if you're watching at home, the circles will be white or red. So white just means a good lift. So there won't be any other colors underneath. But when there's a red lift, you'll see either red, blue, or yellow underneath those. And those are color-coded for what type of infraction. So yellow is sort of the catch-all for a variety of different infractions. But the referees confirmed that his head came up off the bench. So we'll go. So again, if you miss, you can repeat or you can go up and wait anyway. So he might decide, you know what, that felt really strong. I'm going to go up. You are allowed to do that, but you can't go back down. So this is 205 kilo opener for Brandon Stouffer. From Maryland. Very quick descent. But as long as the bar comes to a complete stop, you can lower it as fast as you want. Good lift. All right, Rosalind Such is going for a personal record here. Her best was 87.5 that she did at Raw Nationals back in 2019. So her first time going over 200 pounds here. It's always kind of a nice benchmark. The first time, say that you bench 150 pounds or 200 pounds, or they'll have 100 kilos. There's a variety of different benchmarks, and benching over 200 pounds is certainly one of them. And it's only her second attempt. So the lifters will have 1 minute after they say bar is loaded to get themselves to the bench, get set up, get the bar to arm's length, and get the start command. Oh, all right. So they are giving that 1 minute compensatory time. I had forgotten about that. I mentioned it earlier and then let myself forget it. Just to allow the lifters some sort of recovery. So you don't want to have a super long rest. Waiting 15 minutes you can get cold and it's hard to max out. But also maxing out with no rest at all is the opposite extreme of that. So they're letting these lifters rest and recover just a little bit. If watching this is getting you excited to compete, maybe you want to learn more about USA Powerlifting, you can find competitions near you. If you go to usapowerlifting.com/calendar, you can see what sort of competitions are near you. Maybe find a meet director and email them and ask questions. Nice strong arch. Again, first time benching over 200 pounds in a competition for Pennsylvania lifter Rosalind Such. And she smoked it. So she will be able to improve even more on that on her third. Okay, so starting second round now, we have Scott Hansen, Jeff Cohen, Robert Greer, and Brandon Stouffer. This will go pretty quick, so if you are watching a lifter in this flight, I wouldn't recommend getting up and going anywhere. So this will be a new competition best for Scott. Then he's been stuck at 137.5 for about 2 years. So for all of you guys or gals frustrated that you haven't set a bench PR in a few months, stay at it. Because you might be like Scott here, setting a PR. We'll see what the referees say. Left arm lagged a little bit, but good lift. And he still has one more attempt to improve on that. We'll jump to 157.5 now for Jeff. This is 347 pounds. He has benched over this a few times, but this is nearing his best bench for a bench-only competition. A raw lifter. So you are required to wear a t-shirt And to an untrained eye, you might not see much of a difference between an equipped lifter or a raw lifter. But instead of a regular t-shirt, the equipped lifters, it's a slightly longer sleeve. And when they walk out, you can tell their arms aren't quite swinging by their side as fluidly or more as comfortably. Like a very strong bench for Jeff. That actually looked a little bit easier than his opener. Maybe he had some jitters on the opener to get out, but he is ready to rock and roll now. So Robert did decide to go up. Remember, on his opener, his head came up a little bit, but he decided, you know what, that felt good, felt strong. Anyway, I'll just keep my head flat on the bench this time and go up anyway to what his planned second attempt would be. So 205 kilos for law enforcement officer Robert Greer. And this is right under his best lift of 207.5 from 2020. So he's hoping to make this and then finally get over that 207 hurdle. Sometimes we focus more on our third lift of what we want to end with, but these are stepping stones to get there. Looked strong. Maybe that left arm is a little bit weaker than the right. Not even weaker, maybe not quite as strong, because certainly there's nothing weak about someone who benches 463 pounds. So he's looking for a PR on his third. Now Brandon Stouffer, 210 kilos. This is another stepping stone to Brandon's PR of 220. So if he wants to take a crack at beating that on his third, he'll need to make this. Giving the fist bump to those spotters. You'll also notice that there are safeties that you didn't see, those little horizontal silver metal bars next to the lifter. Those are called safeties. Some people will call them face savers, which are exactly what they are. They're set to a height lower than your chest, but higher than your neck. So if you do miss a lift, especially for those equipped lifters, that if they lift or if they miss, it happens very quickly. Just to save your face from any unsightly injuries. That was a good lift. And we'll put another minute of, they'll get the bar loaded for Rosalind's third attempt. And once the bar is loaded, we'll start a minute of compensatory time, a little extra rest for these lifters. So Rosalind is from Pennsylvania. She already set a PR on her second attempt, looking to better it here. Her second attempt was her first time benching over 200 pounds in a competition, and now she's up to 209. And if you're just joining us, Rosalind is an advocate for lifting with type 1 diabetes at Bolus and Barbells. If you're interested in some of the rules of powerlifting, maybe you're like, man, this is really cool, I want to get started in this, you can go to usapowerlifting.com, and in their About section, you can click on some of their rules. You can find that lifter's handbook. It gives you a nice overview of things to look for. And you'll also notice that Rosalind, she is over 40 years old. All of the lifters yesterday we had a lifter who was 80 years old, several in their 70s. We just had a lifter at our club in Colorado who's 75 years old and just started powerlifting about a couple months ago. So it's certainly not a young people's sport. It can be, for sure. You can have an 8-year-old lift. So 8 to 108. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you're watching this and you go, man, maybe my mobility isn't so good. Maybe I can't squat, or lifting up something heavy from the floor, that's a little scary. Well, you can bench only, and you're never too old to start. All right, PR attempt for Rosalind. Still going up. That looks like a good lift from here. We'll see what those referees who are a little closer say. Good lift. So 2 PRs. It is quite difficult to set a second personal record after setting a first. We get really excited after setting that first PR. And then maybe we can let our guard down a little bit. Maybe we get this adrenaline dump. And it's hard to get back motivated to set another personal record. So congratulations there. Let's go Scott Hansen's third attempt. This will be a personal record attempt for Scott also. He made 137.5 2 years ago. This will be about 3.5% personal record here for Scott. Nope. Good job, spotters, catching the bar. So if you're a raw lifter and you miss a bench, maybe it just doesn't come off your chest, or it's a very predictable process. But with an equipped shirt, if you get out of position at all, the bar can flip up towards your face pretty unexpectedly. So you'll notice these spotters all have their fingers interlaced underneath the bar, that if it's really heavy and your hands are just loosely cupped under the bar and someone misses very quickly, bar can go right through your fingers. But they'll notice if you kind of watch the spotters here, they'll interlock their fingers to make it a little safer. So if you've ever wondered how to spot someone at the gym, or someone has asked you for a spot and you said, no, I don't know how to do that, you can take a master class in effective spotting here. Getting his shoulders locked in. And these back arches are coming from their thoracic spine, more of their middle and upper back, not their lumbar spine. We don't want a lot of pelvic tilt here. We want to protect our back. No lift. Very strong. Struggling just with that upper portion of the lift. All right, we'll get the bar loaded. 215 kilos for Brandon Stouffer. He has made this before. 475. Brandon Stouffer. This is about pretty close to double body weight here for Brandon. So Brandon is lifting in his Chuck Taylors. You'll see a variety of footwear. When you first start watching powerlifting, it all sort of looks the same, but the more you watch, you'll start to see different nuances, that some lifters prefer to lift in an elevated, more of a squat shoe, to allow them to get their feet a little back further under them. But Brandon has pretty good mobility here, wearing a flat shoe to be able to drive through his heels. No lift there. He has 210 on his second. All right. Our final lift of this second flight for benches, 220 kilos, 485 pounds for Robert. He has missed, this will be a competition best for him. He has missed 210 a couple times and 222.5 at various meets in 2020 and 2021. So this will be pretty significant PR for Mr. Greer. Not quite there today. Stuck right off his chest. All right, well, that concludes the Pro-Am bench this morning. They'll hit awards, and then we will be back with lifting throughout the afternoon today. You can go to usapowerlifting.com to find those schedules. Thank you, and see you back here shortly.
All lifters that lifted, both flights, please line up shoulder to shoulder. All lifters. I can't be all of you. All right, there's Jeff Cohen.
From Rhode Island. I'm just kidding. Akron, Ohio.
All right, come on out, Kathy. Jackie. All right, handing out the medals for this session, ladies and gentlemen, from Ohio, Akron, Ohio, Jackie Kenjerski. Give her a round of applause. All right, as I call your name, you got first, second, and third right here. You can step over, and then we'll take some photos, and Jackie will hand you your medals. We'll start off with the women's raw open bench press. In the bronze medal position, Rosalind Such. Silver medal, Amy Schmidt. And in first place, Christina Paracci. Give them another round of applause as they get some photos. Double, yeah, give me a double front by. There you go, double front by. We're going to see them later at the Arnold stage at the bodybuilding. They're going to do a pose down. All right, let's move on to men's equipment. Open. Bench press only. The bronze medal winner, Scott Hansen. Silver medal, Jeremy Fisher. And in first place, I thought he was going to bomb out of the competition, and he wound up getting first place. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Carlo E. Melendez. All right, you got your photos? All right, men's raw open bench press only. In fifth place, Jeff Cohen. Cohen's not here? All right. In fourth place, Brandon Stouffer. In the bronze medal position, Adam Viramontes. Silver medal, Jonathan Myshak. And in first place, he's warming up for his next competition, so he can't be out here, but his coach, Billy McCarthy from GetTheLift.com, will accept his medal. First place, big round of applause, Matthew Cronin. All right. I hand out the participation medals, Jackie, and then we'll get one more group photo. You guys are... all right, give them a round of applause. Come on, step back, gentlemen, step back. All right, line up for one group photo. Line up, tight. Make a back row. Chrissy, you're short, you get in the front. Some of the taller guys, line. All right, nice and tight. Stay right. All right, so move it. Let her get back in there. You can fit everybody in there, right? One more round of applause for these benchers, ladies and gentlemen. All champions here at the Arnold Sports Festival, Columbus, Ohio. All right, we love you. You're done. Thank you. Thank you all. Next session starts at 11 o'clock.